Okay, everybody, it's about an hour and a half before market close. I just logged on to the video in the intraday again, see what we can get to do the video. But I want to show you we talk about that Thursday, Friday intraday trading. We're looking at the SPY. I like doing a SPY. It's fluid. I'm sorry, liquid enough. We know what we're doing. We know that it has not predictable moves, but they're not that erratic. So we're going to come back to this chart. Just want to show you what we'd be looking at right about now. Again, it's 2:34 and 36 seconds Eastern time. So this is about, where's the open today? This is the open today right here on a 1 minute chart. So to drop down, don't really have a trend, and then you hit about noon and you start getting a trend up, then you get this drop here. So let's look at this. We'd be getting an entry right about here on our um, scalper trend, which would have been about 230. It's now, like I said, 235. Let's look at what. So we go on back up to maybe 398. So look at maybe like the 398 calls, expiring weekly, the 13th. So the 398 calls are sitting at about one. Say we get them about probably 160, because they're up a little bit. Let's just say where it's at right now. 157 is the midpoint. So I'm gonna write down 157 here on these calls, and we would be in this trade until we got a down arrow, or until we broke the support level of the arrow. The reason I like this is, first of all, like I said, I backed this out. We're in a little uptrend. This is a drop. This move was about 130. Yeah, you could have maybe taken that, but it's a little early in the afternoon. But that would have been a good move, but we wouldn't really known what the trend was because we broke support. The fib that I have drawn is from this swing high to this swing low, which puts an extra level of security on the trade. Because you do that swing, you get to 50% retrace. That's about that came down to. So it started to run up. We got some green arrows. We got some red arrows. We don't know really what it's going to do. Again, sometimes you get some lethargic movement near the end of the day, but we'll see what's going on. Like I said, we don't know what color these candles are. That's actually obviously a red one, but the scalper trend just goes by bullishness and bearishness of the candle. So you're in about 157. Call it. We'll just keep an eye on this as we come back and look at the daily charts of this stuff. We'll watch 397 as a out point, because the low of this candle would be, we don't win every trade. Low's 397.14, so maybe give it to 397 before you would get out, and we'll see where that would be. I'll keep an eye on it. So let's go back to the daily chart on this. Again, it's not looking pretty because this is a tiny bit of downtrend, but I'm looking at this. I don't like these higher highs or lower lows and lower highs here. But again, I'm looking at the overall 1 minute chart here with that run up and a run back down. That 50% retracement. So that 50% is at 396.98, so that puts us right at that 397 level for now, and then we can watch a little bit more. So remember I talked about on the daily chart, got the got the arrows up, no arrows down. It's got a little bullish action happening. That's a good thing. We're trying to get, and I also showed you the fib retracement on this swing, coming down to the 50% retracement and going sideways there. So that's, again, another fuel for the fire that this could be going up. But again, we're looking at 431.73 on the daily chart to change that weekly chart on the SPY, which is what we want to change around. That weekly chart on the SPY, and to get that out of the lower low, lower high situation. That'll put us at a situation where we're looking at a higher high on that weekly chart and maybe changing things around. So that's that daily look at that chart. And then again on the Qs, doing pretty good, 397.70 on the Qs. Remember, any trade you guys put on, anything you're doing, you're trying to get the least risk involved. So the Qs look pretty good too. They've both been back and forth today. Go back to the SPY, which is again moving nicely. Anything you put on a daily trade, you got to watch the levels. But again, it's been pretty hectic today. We went all the way down low of 392.42. So it's been a pretty volatile day on the SPY. That you also take that into consideration before you get into a lot of trading as well. If that's something that doesn't fit your style, and you just don't do it. Don't do anything you're ever not comfortable with. The IWM. Just look at things making. I told you that I liked how the small caps were doing pretty strong thing. We're acting stronger than the other markets. The Qs were a little weaker. I like when at least like when the IWM's outperforming. It's not the leading statistic or the leader in the markets, but again, it gives you an idea of what good things are look for or bad things. Again, we have a list here that we like to go through on a regular basis, see if it's outperforming with the market, doing its own thing, whatever. Um, the other thing with this trade, again, we started, what was it, almost 4 minutes ago. We looked at it. It's like 240 now. The reason I didn't go too far out of the money because you never know how fast it's going to move. Too far out of the money is going to get a little less price on the options, but at least 398 keeps us in the level of on the SPY where we know it's not way out of the money, and as it goes into 3 o'clock or later, if that's where we go to, that's not going to burn the theta on you too quick. You never want to go too far out of money on these really short-term ideas. So again, Apple performing somewhat with the market, but not a green candle on the body. So you got to watch that. Again, Apple could run back up to, let's take this fib off of here. Looking for maybe Apple to run back up to 150 would be the level we'd be looking at. Maybe first you'd be looking at this 141, 142 level. If it's going to bounce with it. If the market's going to bounce, Apple's definitely going to bounce. Amazon was starting to come off that base at 84. And it's doing a nice job there. That next level to watch is that 102, 103 area. I got it tagged at 102.65. And Tesla again with into the earnings. Remember I talked about earnings coming up. So you got to watch that coming up there too. But if you want to trade in earnings, you maybe could get a move up to this area, maybe where this is tagged 155-ish. But it is coming off. But you got to watch that 21 EMA's resistance. It's been that way the whole way down. And then Google not really doing too good. Pretty good the last 2 days, but not really looking too good today. But could again into their report, depending how quickly it goes up to 104. This dark space to the right of my last candle is 2 weeks. So as long as it's not coming within 2 weeks, I don't really worry about looking for it. We are also looking at Visa. Like I said, could run to 235, 236. Got a report a little bit less than 2 weeks. I said as long as I held that 217, 218 area, you were looking pretty good. Monster, we were looking for a breakout, but we were in a consolidation phase. We still are. Maybe they're waiting for the report on that. That's coming more than 2 weeks out. Netflix into its report, I think, is early next week. Breaking over that 329, which is sorry. I don't like that because Netflix's options are always a lot of implied volatility in there into the options. If you go to so the weeklies are sitting at 46%, 97 to 78, 78, 70, 97 in the next week. But they're usually in the 50 percentile for implied volatility. That means when you make a trade on a directional option, if that's what your plan is, and it goes even in the direction you want, once implied volatility is sucked out, the price of those options are going to go down. So it's always hard to trade Netflix into that. What do we have? Trying to read my chicken scratch here that I wrote. AMD and Nvidia were doing pretty good earlier this week. They're still doing a little run here. That's AMD. And Nvidia running pretty good too. Nvidia could run all the way up to probably 180, 188 or so, and AMD could run up to. Trying to keep an eye on the SPY on my phone. We're doing okay there. Almost 398. At least it's not breaking that 397 level. So again, AMD could run, probably up to these highs at 79.80 is what you'd be looking for. And then we'll check this SPY chart before we go on to the movers of today, because it's dropping a little bit. The SPY 1 minute chart with the scalper trend. See, we had a little run there. Got a down arrow there that could have taken you out of trade with a little bit of a flat trade there, but we got another up arrow. But I don't like that candle at all here. But again, we were just watching that 397 level. We never got to it to get out of our trade. We're in another squeeze. That's a good thing if we're going to bust out to the upside. So we made a higher high off of these highs. Again, we're talking about 156 on the 398s, and you're still up 5 cents. So again, being patient and watching your out, which would be a very short loss if it goes below the 390 or it goes to 397. So we'll keep this going. Like I said, that could have got you out. It would have probably been a flat trade up a couple pennies. But and then you got another up arrow, but you don't want to, depending on how you want to do this, you might have gotten stuck in and out too many times. Again, we're still working on this, the way this is going to work out for us, getting some practice on it with just paper trading, kind of about what we're looking here. So we'll keep an eye on it. We've only, what are we into this video? About 10 minutes, so we're not going to be too long. I might pause it. Let me pause it and check out some of these movers. I'll just come back to the movers. Just going to say I pretty much paused this at 2:45 on the dot. Okay, so we'll come back on here. It's about 2.5 minutes later. I just checked out some stuff. We just got a lot of runners here that I'm looking at. We know Coinbase and that is still running. Taekwon Semiconductor, horrible chart, but still running. Or just started to run today. I guess that's on a report. That report came out today. So that's running, but again, that's just a momentum idea because it's not going to change the trend. Let's keep going. I talked about United Airlines the other day. It's running hard. That's a big run. Probably going to be exhausted pretty soon, but there's nothing wrong with that. Again, just be careful chasing, especially into that report, which is coming on the 18th. So that would be next Wednesday. And remember, Monday is a day off from the markets, Martin Luther King Day, so big 3-day weekend coming up. I looked at some of these Airbnb. Disney is running a little bit over the last 5 or 6, 7, 8 days. Crocs is a runner over that last few days. Again, not a good looking chart, but you can see you've got a lot of ways to get back to that 180 level, but it's starting to come back. It was all the way down to almost 40. So doing a good job of coming back. See anything else? I know I've been looking at US Steel. It's not really moving, but still could run up to that $30, $31 area. And then got a lot of the oils up here, Halliburton, Marathon Petroleum. You see Delta's moving, Devon Energy, ConocoPhillips, Chesapeake, PSX. They're all up there, but not a whole lot up over. I mean, not a whole up over 2%, but a lot of levels or a lot of stocks in the green. Even though we had back and forth day in the markets, looks like Waste Management, Etsy, and some of those things are down a little bit, but not much down more than 1%. I mean, you got like only these 15 or stocks, so stocks down 1% or more. So not a whole lot moving down. Remember, if you're ever going to go with a runner, be very careful that you don't run out of steam. You're not getting in too late. Use some kind of intraday chart, 15, 30 minutes, unless you're doing some of this day trading. But I like the way the scalper trend is working for us. You just go back to the SPY. If you're patient and put on some good stops, we got a bunch of white arrows here to the upside, never one down. So that was a consolidation phase. So let's see where this 1 minute chart is at. We're doing okay. Higher highs, higher lows. Bust that out of that squeeze, but didn't really go too far. The 398s are now at back about where we bought them, so there's a little theta breaking in there. So whatever floats your boat getting in or out, this is really not moving the way you would want it to do off that 50% retracement. But again, it doesn't always happen the way you want to, and we were trending. You would think off that bounce we would have begun a little bit of a bounce. So we'll come back and visit this at about 2:50, about 30 minutes, 15 minutes after we put on the trade. We were about flat on it. We'll see as I look at the video for next. We'll see where that would have ended up. Again, it's only about an hour and 10 minutes before market close, but we don't have another down area to take us out, and we didn't. You can actually move your support up to that 397. These lows here about 397.30. If it breaks that, just take a dump out with a very small loss. As long as you're limiting your losses and your gains run a few times, you'll be taking everything the way it's supposed to be.